Hello, everyone. This is Tim from the Geek branch, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on the Jedi Fallen Order game that just came out. It's been about a decade since we've had a really good Star Wars game. We've had really terrible games made by EA with Battlefront and Battlefront 2. And then they canceled the game that was being developed by Amy Henning. She was making a really great solo Star Wars game from the sounds of it. But with that, there was a lot of backlash for EA, and I think they had no choice but to allow Respawn to make this great game. So, most people have been wary about having another Star Wars game being published by EA, as I just said. And I actually had a little bit of faith when it came to this, only because I saw some great gameplay footage and the studio that was making that, Respawn Entertainment. Respawn has been really great about showing to be a studio that really cares about detail with the world that they build with their Titanfall series and their Apex Legends. I know Apex Legends is just a battle royale shooter. It is one of the few ones that I actually enjoy playing. You can really tell that they worked closely with Lucasfilms to make sure the lore of this game, of Jedi Fallen Order, was perfectly in sync with the Star Wars universe. Well, when it comes to the story, the game starts off with a Jedi apprentice that survived Order 66 from Star Wars Episode 3. As you know, the Emperor, he was, at the time, he was known as Chancellor Palpatine, and he ordered Order 66, where the clones essentially killed all the Jedi, or so it was thought. There have been Jedi that have survived. Well, the protagonist, Cal Kestis, was one of the ones that survived. It's set 5 years later, and Cal is played by Cameron Monaghan. He's most notably known for the actor who played, they kept hinting at could be Joker, not Joker. Finally, he played the twin of the character that everybody thought was Joker, and that twin was finally Joker. So he was known for that, and he's also known for a character he plays in a beloved series known as Shameless. So with that, he plays, as I said before, Cal Kestis. And Cal is working in a junkyard on the planet Braca. He's scrapping ships that are from the Clone Wars era. And one day he's working on some ship parts with one of his close co-workers who's really more of a friend to him, his friend Prof. They both fall from an accident, and Cal has no choice but to use his powers to save his force powers to save his friend. And when he does that, without him realizing it, of course, a probe droid sees it and records it and transmits it over to the Empire, which causes some Imperial Inquisitors to come and try to find the Force user. And with that, his friend tries to protect him and say that he is the Jedi and he is killed. And when that happens, Cal is blinded by rage. You know, he's a Jedi. He shouldn't be blinded by rage, but he hasn't really followed the Jedi code in a while. And so he tries to attack the Inquisitor. They face off in a battle. Eventually, they're separated, and he's running away. And suddenly, this ship, the Mantis, shows up out of nowhere. And these two who are turn out to be the other main characters in the story. They come and save him. And he is rescued by Captain Junda, who is played by Daniel Roebuck. I don't really know what he's been in. And then a former Jedi Master, Grease Dirtis. She is played by Deborah Wilson. She is notably known for playing a lot of voice acting with animation and video games, but also she is one of the Mad TV cast members from back in the day. So they come and save him in the hopes that he will be able to help them find some missing Jedi apprentices, because they're hoping to rebuild the Jedi Order, which is why the game is called Jedi Fallen Order. So with that, he goes on a this journey, and he goes to 5 different planets to piece together where these other apprentices are to try to get them. And 3 of the 5 planets are planets we're all familiar with. They all have rich history with the Star Wars universe. The first one I immediately when I saw the name, I knew exactly which planet it was, which is Kashyyyk. It is the homeworld of the Wookiees. With that, we get to see how the Wookiees are surviving under Imperial Galactic control. We also, after that, in the game you get to go from whichever planet you want to go to. One of the other planets you go to is Dathomir. It is most notably known for to be the home world of Zobraks, and as we know, Darth Maul is a Zobrak. And we also know it is the homeworld of the Night Sisters, who one of the Night Sisters is actually Darth Maul's mother. Um, so when it's very exciting to see that world because of all the rich history of Darth Maul and the Zarbraks, Night Sisters from the EU, and even from stuff that is still considered canon, such as the Clone Wars and the Rebels. So to visit Dathomir after watching those shows is so much fun. Getting to play a game that feels like it really gets that planet really well. Also, there is the planet Alum, is known as, I would say, the primary planet Jedi's would use to mine kyber crystals. Kyber crystals are used to make lightsabers, as most of us know. It is also the planet that apprentices would go to when they would get to build their first lightsaber. After all that, when the Empire takes over, they destroy the Jedi Temple, so that way they can mine more crystals, all that, the usual Empire thing where they destroy most remnants of the Jedi and all that. Well, when it comes to the gameplay, it's a blast. Like, it really is. It's a lot of fun. It is very much a third-person action-adventure game. You can tell they have an absolute love for the material, but also the love for making a game that takes inspiration from the likes of Dark Souls and Uncharted. When it comes to fighting enemies, you have to be careful. It's like Dark Souls, where you have to roll and dodge. The enemies have a health bar. You do as well, and some of them are more powerful than others. And with that, when you're walking around this planet, you have to be careful to make sure that you keep up with your health or meditate to heal yourself. Or if you die, you lose your XP points. Of course, you can get it back if you kill the enemy that killed you, just like typically similar to how they do with Dark Souls. When you meditate though, and you heal yourself, what happens is the world refreshes, so that those enemies that you kill comes back. So just like with Dark Souls, when you go to the bonfire, very similar to that. But one of the most important parts of this game is that Respawn made sure to make the lightsabers feel fluid, make them feel accurate, make it feel like you're really holding a lightsaber in your hand when you're using a controller or when you're using a mouse and keyboard. Although I feel like most people are using a controller, even for the PC users, because as soon as you turn on the game, it recommends to use a controller. And I have to say, I did play it on PC and I used the controller. It did feel better. I tried it with both. I did prefer it on controller. Not every game do I prefer with controller, but this game was definitely controller oriented, which some people might not like that, but when you're playing a game that deals with a lightsaber, it makes more sense that it was with a controller that was more heavily focused. Well, with this game, one way that just makes you feel like you're really in this game and how they detailed the mechanics is that when you play the game, the way you dodge, then hit the person with perfect timing, or rather you use your force push to stop them while they're trying to do a heavy attack, and you roll, and you can also slow down your opponent, and it works so well. You have a tree system where you can expand on your different moves and skill sets. It is so much fun. You really care about wanting to go around the world and exploring every nook and cranny. making sure that you don't miss something. There's so many secrets, there's puzzles in the game, just so similar to how Uncharted is. There's a lot of inspiration from Uncharted. You see that when you are sliding down slopes, you're jumping across vines, you're trying to figure out these puzzles. And just like with Uncharted, there's, as I said, there's a lot of secrets to this world where you have, if you go to a certain area, you might not be able to go to it yet. But when you gain a new ability, you can go back to that area. And it's so much fun. It makes you want to go back to those worlds. It makes you want to experience again this world that has been so enriched by the Star Wars universe. You really care about the protagonist. He may be a little bit on the generic side, a lot of people say, but I really enjoyed his storyline. I really enjoyed the former Jedi Master storyline. It works so well together. They both feel like they betrayed their friends with the other Jedi because they survived, and it's all about them trying to make up for that, trying to have a redemption for that. And it is so heartfelt. You really care about them as a character, and that matters when it comes to a single player focused game. The characters matter. So with that, I feel like with how well the Mandalorian series is being so well received, and now Jedi Fallen Order, this game that is an absolute blast, that's totally worth the $60 price. It feels like Star Wars is finally set on the right track again. It's finally going to be the Star Wars we once known and loved when it comes to their more expanded looking universe, when it doesn't just focus on the main line movies. This game is an absolute blast. Please check it out. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And most of all, thank you for letting me get to my geek culture with you. Thanks, guys.